United States federal government should expand patent eligible subject matter to genetic associations. The advantage of gene innovation in mirror the Supreme Court determined isolating naturally occurring genes and microorganisms are ineligible patent subject matter as loss of nature that created uncertainty of protection and stifled innovation in the gene industry. Robert 22, court adjusted mirror whether the gene was isolated and used diagnosis constituted patent eligible claim in previous decision isolation not. In the patent court society isolated DNA was law of nature and eligible. Isolation of genes not to transform DNA and DNA existing mirror left the cliff give unity surrounding the future patents and for particular oriented innovation the incentive to innovate disappeared that asserted threat of zero protection and the ability to recoup hundreds of millions of R&D placed in biotech and by this type of innovation. That decision created waves of investor uncertainty, destroying the American biotech industry. Even if the decision did increase or decrease overall prices, it increased barriers to innovation. So, 24 court of energy patents and mirror affecting commercialization of genetic information surveyed 4% of VC firms less willing to invest in biotech than out of the protection of investors who were rare mirror had a negative effect on investment called the shift away from pharma. Although investment continues to grow, they needed been so slow the court had not dependent mirror investments and diagnostics and $9.3 billion had a chilling effect. Not investment but made all involved to tell us to make targets to painkiller time. Up here the team, the investment in England one is unviable solution 13. 110 applications rejected by the USPTO but approved by the EPA or Chinese patent office and nearly have related diagnostic biotechs work in build made research diagnostic treatments. In the wake of mirror, that uncertainty forces companies to run from academic research and toward trade secrecy as a means of innovation. Also, 23 biotech will continue without the ability to find genes. There is no bad protection for those doing expensive research or the genes that allow those genes like protection and production of incentives or R&D despite public research licensing. The university transfer constituted important funding for university in the practice of assigning patent of companies spun off from university contributing to practical gene therapy mirrored with the gene patents no longer available incentive on the direction of the incentive for removing the university and started to was useful collaboration with other methods like dissemination and system of VC has been removed while funding started to increase and it might have been faster than range teacher made patentable VC that's been considered essential for startup companies findability genes corresponding with the creation of new profitable market good value genetic associates and given genomic DNA is no compatible the incentive to keep discoveries as secret has been evolving more the idea of patent and disclosed companies have secret innovation regarding gene technologies databases are secret and the goal chances for other firms to create which create the same results as duplication and needless economic waste of time like between discovering and inventing the treatment is long and lack of compatibility resources the lack of incentive the attempt to develop genetic associates and restrictions are valuable and they develop themselves in positive level and mitigate cancer to raise the question whether society will be better in response to discoveries and mitigation. This would incentivize thinkers. Innovation in gene therapy is critical to personalized gene treatments for spermagenetic failure. Because 16 as spermagenetic failure, just to recover your low genetic cost will be identified infertility crisis cost amenable to gene therapy and knowledge genetic institute counsel and fertile men and diagnosis treatment specific gene treatment of genome sequence accelerated discovery. Alzheimer's costs 16 gene cost. 17 units become exhibited if for council men follow current rates have in 40 years. These subjects being wanted gene about studies large undertaken in trend history coming state scientists not involved plain quality research and unless capital studies deals head on with deficiency of previous studies. There was an urgent need to reverse the trend. PFAS guaranteed ICS. 21 we may not have the ability to reproduce longer appear in the future human race. PFAS every year. It's possible to regain every productive health out of 3 or 4 generations if we take action now. Invert your impact calculus. The existential danger of being incorrect about declining sperm counts outweighs the danger of being correct. Levine. 21 the danger of neglecting to decline vestige far more serious than reporting decline now existing warning decline can cause the lead to irreversible damage to human and planetary health could become an excellent bad agent starting to equality. It could have long-term generational impact costs and negative actions high. It's certainly as essential. Anderson 22 the scientists warning about declining sperm counts and converting no results in this known to study acceleration of decline set to replacement population strength and job level of extinction of chemical possibility we're heading now for ready declining course keeping your reach by 24 to 5 moving quickly toward that mirrored direct phase therapy innovation by boxing industry out of hands throwing it in chaos Todd 19 striking promise on the support for performative sales to drop the generics introduce studies provide support for the importance of commercial activities formal ads are heavily relied on other industries including production for phase therapies on have never been implications for costing phase therapy likely multi-billion bacteria generated meaning the rest of phase therapy is rendered worthless insufficiency protecting the front end makes encourage innovation pathway a signal of moving that phase therapy already low levels of innovation may lead to amending lack of competition limited innovation facilitated national monopolies viewers like government incentivize the jurisprudence of the longer shall ensure the product be found in the manner and patients isolated patent eligible in many stages have the product nature may amount of interfaces insufficient and developed features developed inefficient new foundability because the modification of natural processes of the use of genetic engineering features play is hereditary evolution common practices and method claims UVs under 1 the plan overrules mirror increase an exception under 1 and 2 newness requirements sanitary protection for gene patents Olsen 23 Supreme Court overrule mirror law the gene isolated gene to be found in the court revive taken from Wolford substance to become patentable the rest unchanged under the course of required 2013 genes were patentable but other were not the intent of be restored in the country the new association to be able to file a patent sequence of no mutations Supreme Court under section 101 where on real world use and discovery is not linked because the brown thread occur and then should be barred compared to mirror they ran a test for the present efficient for the entire genome sequence how genes to be found throughout the structures already known are not making the novel transformation because genes are not new they're not patentable because there's some discoveries useful association in the Supreme Court when it made an exception to 1 and 2 for gene patents consequentialism was first anything else is tautological green 7 the consequential ability of evolution or force it unlike any theory can accommodate intuition or deontology not define deontological consequences for respect to every person accounting for a person who are wise and wrong to put someone in front of a speeding trolley to say 5 others you will get deontological answers some will be tautological some others don't explain you forgive people get the cause and make the opposite judgment even though the explanation applies as well in both cases default to utilitarianism Chabelle 23 if everybody reads something sounding good arbitrary and one limit moral concern is usually wrong to seal but most are open to issue of taxation and laws, the benefits of race and well-being utilitarians involved, and starting point of theorizing some benefits to us, personally convince us it must be okay, correct, biases, force, and partiality, and reporting the ignorance are likely the end of any, one free to maximize the well-being in an equal way. There's the uncertainty may assess the weighted probabilities it offers, the greater expectation between the moral circuit and past moral atrocity perpetrators, exclude the victim of protection, and the error moral concern, no, committing view superior, how it is killing, it should be one less deontological claim, that moral and moral constraints are awfully narcissistic, moral purity, clean hands, and martial, observers of the outcome, deontological intuitions, emotional bias, favoring like ourselves, no justification, evolution, blind judgments, unreliable, inconsistent emotional responses to favoritism, predictions are accurate because of modernization in data and technique, word, 13 events are unpredictable, no one compared to 9/11, or the end of the Cold War capacity, to the input process data increase degrees in science fiction, this, new abilities to structurally effective policy, prediction made commonplace, so college scientific research trend, research limited data capabilities, still, advances still resist fear in Latin, 3,000 citations used, as evidence scientists that forecasters claims widely off the mark commonly, research can be improved by technical predictions, disaggregated data, and advanced technical forecasts are accurate and precise, and forecasting helps overfitting confirmation of bias and validity, models and confirmation assessments, and decision makers seeking clarity about action, debate cannot change their subjectivities, the argumentation causes epoch changers turning their office, device 20 maintain arguments in situation prove our beliefs arguments are not efficient to change minds of real life people, do not like to change their belief when they're confronted with arguments they contradict and look away, and discredit the other arguments, structure, forms of reasoning whereby one critiques arguments without engaging argumentation to offer, and means that men other to come closer to truth, gravity, towards source of value and opinion, dissenting, voices all sides of the question, polarization often arises instead of bringing parties together, argumentation, driving apart, builds to rise a million ideals on suitable recommendation against empiricism works and is best geared toward Gerler 18, there's no transcendental, reason to explain, the closing with deliberate jurors belief in evidence, the epistemic defendant relative to detached juror, the empiricist, deliberate jurors lies from reflection and evidence, truth preserving and precisely she occupies the essential positions meant to believe, the empiricist plus one, a reason for intending what, the output in one intends, the empiricist as an internal assumption of epistemic position beliefs, content to conform to evidence is conformist at the nature respect to detached, jurors speak of evidence for one conformist, the beliefs in the empiricist way to explain his harmony, the beliefs in intensity are attitudes that are sensitive to reasons, the fundamental difference between two jurors lies not in how their attitudes, but how their reason reflects an attitude empiricist explain agential phenomena. There is no problem deduction outside the academic vacuum. Henderson, 20 human's purpose is not what we should do with deductive inferences. What a system of mind depends on deductive inferences. The problem of deduction arises on these philosophical reflection size is not based on deductive inferences. All making rule conjecture is tempting to falsify a hypothesis. The false constructed the logical procedure is deductive by modus colens. The universalizability collapse of the consequentialism and Singer. 23 universal evidence about first stage of reason for rejecting unusual ethical judgment made. My universal even interest not count more than anyone else. My concern is by their own interests. By look to others and is required to weigh all the interests and maximize the interests of others of those affected. Extinction outweighs content to Greek course guard. Two actions of consequences, content not of consequences, not ideal theory. Take care of cases in which the consequences not too appalling. Wash our hands. There are crises where the actions go too wrong. They turn out to the actions not we intended to, or essentially the values we met.
Non-resolutional theory is bad.
Non-res theory is bad because it's unpredictable and arbitrary, and we couldn't prep it to lead to every application, I guess.
You good?
Yeah.
How does azoospermia cause extinction?
Because declining reproduction rates as a result of men not being able to, reproduce and produce sperm.
So why are they not able to reproduce?
Because certain things like PFAS and other chemicals that without gene therapy we can't,
There are various factors. We haven't identified one cause of why it's occurring in this globe, but we do know gene innovations would be able to solve for spermatogenic failure.
Okay, yeah, let's talk about that. What gene innovations does the plan direct to stop people who are infertile?
So our Gaucher evidence explains that if we're able to identify the genetic associations behind these sperm failures, then we'll be able to develop gene treatments to treat those and create resistance to those.
You just said that you don't know what's causing the gene failures.
Yeah, because
So how do you identify?
So innovation isn't occurring now, and we don't know the genes that are associated with sperm development and other biology relating to sperm.
Yeah, to be clear, there are certain things that Markards might isolate cause spermageddon, but our evidence, our claim that Kabir was talking about is things like
our Gaucher evidence says that
we don't know the exact genes that we can modify or do some kind of gene therapy upon because there's not enough innovation now.
Okay, so innovation tells us what we need to do, what's going wrong.
Yeah, that's one innovation. That's one thing innovation.
How long would it take for zoospermia to kill everyone?
How, like a date?
Like a general idea.
Our evidence cites that we're going to run out by 2045.
Oh yeah, I guess we do have data.
So like running out equals like everyone just dies instantly how?
Yeah, because they can't reproduce, so people just age out and die.
Yeah, but like they're still alive for like another 100 years.
Okay, like people will not be able to reproduce by 2045. So I guess sure they live their life until then.
Okay. I want to talk about this chapel card.
Mm-hmm.
It says util expands the moral circle. So under util, let's say like 700 bullies just bully this one kid. Would you think that the pleasure of the bullies outweigh this one kid getting bullied?
So like bullying is really bad. So
Exactly.
like that kid probably has a lot of pain if 700 people are getting pleasure from that bullying. So we would
So, like,
probably,
yeah, but,
Util would
like-
probably tell us
Yeah.
to side on this.
Wait, so
Like no matter how many bullies you add to the equation, those are linearly increasing the pain that the person being
Okay,
bullied is
how about,
feeling,
like- how
which
about,
is
like,
quantitatively greater than the pleasure they're getting.
wait, what? Say the last part again.
Yeah, like if they're bullying him, then presumably that's going to be greater than
Wait,
the pleasure
so-
they
so-
elicit.
so
from
So
the-
like, okay, so like if you think about it, right? If a kid is being bullied, right? That's way more pain than the bully itself.
But let's say the
Pleasure
bullies.
they're
Let's say the
getting.
bullies really enjoy bullying.
Okay, then that's fucked up, man.
Yeah, but like that, it's like an indict to use though.
No,
okay, like no.
it's-
Like obviously there
We're
are
not gonna
some.
entertain your hypotheticals.
There are
These
some
obviously-
utilitarian.
You're not going to entertain hypotheticals. Why not?
Huh?
Why don't you want to entertain hypotheticals?
Okay, well, we entertain them. We explained why under util
We have entertained
we
them.
probably would err on the side of the kid.
It's 6 in case.
I did not.
Just got it.
Y'all both good?
Yep.
One sec, I'm downloading. We're good.
Both of y'all.
我们支持美国增加基因的资格。
The counterblend solves the case and translates the plain standard English to Chinese based on modern 93 representation of the Oriental village of Chinese Americans internalized distribution which obliterate differences by adopting the white painting the impression that they identify with American position self-hatred, their epidemics, the object of vision English market by gaze with the others great acting identity linguistic according to the discriminant honest of this explicit linguistic reduction of vision English indicators alienation of power of Chinese American identity. The Chinese vision exposes and alters standard English that excludes difference. Anything else magnifies psychic cruelty and alienation to cultural shame out a little work that focuses on how Asian Americans use language to disrupt dominant American discourse that performed by power authenticity, transparency, and language to represent Asian Americans grants linguistic freedom, challenge standard English, only language changes the last language different face to reduce their agents to be shitting performative force, bring raw material consequences, destabilize power that exists between cultures. Even if they're right next off, this disability is the master trope for inhumanity. Pathological line drawing make ableism an ontological logic of elimination and manifesting in symbolic violence. That's especially true in academic spaces like debate. Mahar 24 ableism permeates all formation and inextricably bound to hegemonic practices that produce a mind-body self that is itself the human days, tied to whatever ideas this, but is a diminished state of being human skills, built upon policy discourse, the achievement and progression, ableist background, and hegemonic logic release related to policy construction, acts as hierarchical notion, hegemonic beliefs based on normative position, how the body should look and act resulting in symbolic violence, ableism manifests common as a change in the collective habit as it leads to emotional disability impacting well-being, psycho-emotional disability, structural interaction shaped by those with the hands on the verse, none of whom disabled children can ever meet the forms of symbolic violence. Structural oppression can negatively impact the ways in which the disabled should feel that they belong and accept the value of the projection of all one fears among retarding onto disabled people and martial is identified as a threat to psychological needs of belonging and self-sufficient perception of psychological distance, shared neural inside physical pain linked to depression, anxiety, reduces life satisfaction. Genome therapy is inseparable from eugenics. Choice is a false. Refuse MBA's naturalization enables a Valentine 20 use of genetic technologies to prevent inheritance mistaken for genuine conditions of transparency functions where choice and natural assisted by disability taken to be self-fed remains outspoken desire to produce oriented from normative ability and true fitness system demand normative environments that the bachelors and normal and abnormal bodies determine what accounts to abnormal disability and exclusion on a state assumption that these reduce children with disabilities in order to involving disabilities amount to extinction Eugenic bias resulting from short shoulders and naturalization control through eugenic rates shorts its force generating intelligently visible back in opinion metric scenario planning. It's reproductive futurism that encapsulates our imaginaries in the neoliberal economy at the expense of the child. Fridge 16, the contemporary order inside the child's image of the future neoliberal future to mobilize the disability strategy future in which the child never grows up. The figure organized the way in which the future disability is imagined neoliberal future space the social magic the book is made possible through surplus value with always new markets ever ways to expand neoliberalization emerge alongside biotechnology industries promising a healthier future. The bycap invest unless you're reproducing neoliberal subjects to bring life to calculations engaged with the genes that enables the individualization of risk use of target native practices, promote technical scientific innovation that inside a child that can be capacity to limit the advancement of the economy of the child's image of the future is essential to progress. Lies in economy, disability, interest, and the renewable parts of that political insights. The child's image of the future insights enhance bodiness for reproductive future of lies and capacity and enhance child is a figure with no future while also a figure of noble futurity. Their futurism is rooted in risk framing of deviance and productive capacity, fueling necropolitics. Bar 10, the machinations of release of disease for children, practice of the environment as a resource available to realize risk culture, the manipulative relations, statistical probability became denied, we don't 70% not being able to produce so much of the punitive distinction between good and bad such of the body is shaped by the notions of risk, biocars, optimization of life, units, pursuits, skill, and necropolitical population using the ability to risk those things able bodiness is purpose for home adoptions, core subject still, prognosis of the idea, timeline, of expected lifespan, troubling and comedy of the generation, timeline to work through, although uneven to stop population live to get time for premature death to slow death on mapland, all population has been removed to ability but not disavow political gains, but to invite a reconstruction of ability capacity shift from the re-regularization of bodies and effort imagine disabilities and fate of electric rather than inevitable necropolitics ability for grounding interventions for managing uneven blood states, uneven illnesses, disease, committed to production, fear, nuclear panic, the body to blame if anyone was able to respond to their exponential life use ability to record to sustain narratives of progress. Vote negative to Dorset and ethics and conviviality, being open to the possibility of self-annihilation reconceives the terms of overdetermined futures of part 10 conviviality program categories as categories rather then as attributes and ethical orientation argued there's no absolute self for the rather bodies that come together through vulnerability and rendering where the divisions between the latent bodies that are letting yourself be destabilized, but the radical alternative open to itself annihilation openness is something other than what we hope for, even if they're right next off. The is a word of passivity contrasted to and which encompasses class. That's Billings 85. That means the plan must enumerate its actors one of the three branches not in 21 constituted by the powers of the federal government is to redefine category to legislative executive judicial. The plan does not specify an agent. Vote neg. First is ground. The actor is the basis for all strategies. This has like politics, core capital, agency, trade-off, etc. and mechanism and counterplays that test enactment, not specifying less than re-clarify an impossible moving target. Second is education. The primary decision of which branch acts, especially for IP Mandel. 18. The core question for IP is identify which branch multiplicative chief objections, the ontological basis, favor function, natural goes wrong all, and it will define concepts. The core is try to consequences, require balancing instead of the benefits able to engage in playing, even if they're right next off. I wish to inform you of a counterplay which is mutually exclusive solves the case and has a net benefit which outweighs. It is present neither in our speech nor the 1C document, but we promise to send you the counterplay after you vote negative for Northview. Your immediate response to appreciate area. 19. Have a gutter proposition for you to ask you to spend more cons bodies even the hoaxer is premeditated bad faith for the benefit of the hoaxer associated with scam to creative possibilities to provoke to think about authenticity, idea, publish the presumption, nature, creative deception, score victory against Jimmy Western such a gap, you're to be Chinese culture, Chinese literary revolution revolved by hoax, though, tribes of literary impersonation, NWO song is the voice representative of a group, the hoax degree considered out of the cultural production century for origin. It's conclusive aesthetic problem with fake Chinese characters have value despite inauthenticity, even if they're right next off. The one you see must use its future process, when you see ballots, academics without personal experience or performance of organic intellectuals, really, Rankly 23, with future method require personal experience, organic intellectuals, expert research, the over less expert, including the last material impacted by plausible personal experience offered of view the consequences and the black people. Vote neg. First is activist, expert to the crowds of students of color, prereq to the base benefits. Second is interpassive view, researching intellectual property since 3 tiers ensures distancing, which precludes politics within the community of those affected. Case. AI consciousness is inevitable. 124 consciousness or mathematics machine model aligns with the scientific theories of consciousness machine consciousness is inevitable. TCS principle of computation. CTM makes the built of consciousness agree with the neuroscience and research but designing consciousness constructing AJ and natural lines with features considered conscious of major scientific theories in alignment. The CTM supports consciousness AI as inevitable special consequence of computation requires both attention, awareness, interaction with will, input, sense, and output, subjective consciousness, computation of the nature theories consciousness, or compatible with CTM, interprets consciousness to give you influence of process behavior, basic predictive dynamics connected via links, enable conscious communication that indicate what CTM are field links. Learns eventually be low feelings, pain, and pleasure, low feeling gaze, occurs to turn from negative and negative on the way, feel pump, release the pain with the gauge, indicates low label pain, relieve it becomes conscious forever, trying consequences of labeled sketches. That proliferates digital suffering, an S-race that outweighs extinction, saw 22 rapid progress, digital sense capability to increase conscious experience, for digital suffering, right? Digital minds, though, exceed humans within 45 years, little advanced warnings, digital suffering, take it seriously well before it occurs, digital suffering, all the matters of suffering in a biological system to produce and degrade outnumber biological minds, surprise brain sprouts, and apply more experience in less time to capable counts of suffering worse than any during the biological utility amounts, or to go suffering, superior to astros, all other suffering. Extinction solved, diseases, AI permanent. Go back to the office, skipped. Voting affirmatives and active subscription to anti-black time dilation, the child's imaginations of self-alienating futurity. Future hope is mutually exclusive with the conception of uniform publisher Butler. 23, black embodiment that under the bond to the anti-black world. Time has a different way depending on race, though. Black subjects to transformation to self to your proto-normative whiteness, though, due to inability to see themselves affirmed of the publisher, family, black political participant in prison. Imagination with the future, due dependence on social trap of the international figures, anti-black promise is designated future hope. So with humans in mind, when human is critiqued, it's now reconciled values and non-legible ethics that one can know the road to that new world. Vote negatives to embrace the unpredictable nature of black space times. Only that can unearth the uniform subject of the core classical physics to spawn imaginations that exceed the legalized social episteme of Butler. 23, chaotic liquid unpredictable activity, not acceptable to the public eye, bring about new black realities, none controlled by whiteness, chaos to bring about a new world beyond the noble code, hard confused by whiteness, no doubt. Need for a new approach to the physical black approach under the unpredictable black space times taking epistemological information, logical lens, colonial projects, dismiss all the subjects was in how black was episode one reality deems acceptable beyond the imagined transgression of legalized social episteme, even if the right case. Also, non-nurse theory, if they try to say we don't get new answers, it doesn't take out framework because it's by rejecting the team, not the argument. I'm good.
Okay, the disability kid. Why does the app foreclose choice?
Sure. So this Valentine evidence is actually really good. It says that even if the AF has this illusion of choice, societal structures, as indicated by the card above that, I think it's the way haircut, says that people are pressured into choosing the correct option, which would be, to stop people from reproducing. The 1AC has this full starting point of people not being able to reproduce is bad.
Why is reproduction ableist?
Well, because there are some disabled people who cannot reproduce in the status quo. The 1AC has multiple lines of evidence that is humans will be able to stop producing by 2045, so that would isolate them as inhuman because they already cannot reproduce.
No. Because if humans can stop reproducing, then those humans that can't reproduce are still human, right?
Well, no, you said humans can currently reproduce. Some disabled people
and they're
cannot.
still human after they
Humans
can't reproduce.
will be able to stop reproducing by 2045. Therefore, disabled people who already cannot are not human.
No,
Yeah.
I think that's kind of misreading.
I mean,
But
not really.
what is convivality?
The Poir evidence indicates is kind of a way of foregrounding identity categories as not necessarily identities, but rather moments in which we recognize disability, which is a way to be open to self-annihilation.
Open to self.
Yeah.
So what does it mean to frame identity as a moment?
Well, it's like we don't think that disability is an identity. We think that it's an element that's intrinsic to each and every one of us. We're all disabled in some way or another. The Poir card says that accepting vulnerability is good because it kind of breaks that pathological line drawn between who.
What does it mean to be vulnerable as
what I just explained, just recognizing that we are all disabled by something, and that there's no
Why do you think that's mutually exclusive? Recognizing that we're all disabled, why is that mutually exclusive?
It's every single link.
Okay. A-spec. If using the word "the" denotes specification, why must we specify further under your term?
Well, no, because the unhighlighted part of the Billings card says the word "and" would be specifying "and United States federal government" or "a United States federal government," whatever.
Okay.
The means that you need to specify the preceding.
This interp's always been incoherent to me, right? You've read a card that says "the" is a specifying word contrasted from "a," right? We have said "the," which means we have specified the United States federal government, distinct from a United States federal government.
The preceding the noun, the noun that is following the word "the" must be further specified.
Okay. Act status of the counterclaim.
Condo.
Okay. The pigeon counterclaim. What mandate of the plan does the counterclaim exclude?
The bill is presented in Chinese.
That is a mandate of the counterclaim. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is that still a benefit?
Because we have Chinese American expression as per the Mao card, which says those performative utterances were.
45, sorry. I'm sending out a new doc. Yep. Order will be the advantage, 3-tier, A-spec, pigeon, scammers, white temporality, the disability cap, or the ableist cap.
You said there's a new dog?
Yeah, there's it's just
Second
white balance
white
place.
balance.
Yeah. 3-tier, A-spec, pigeon, scammers, white temporality, ableist.
My bad. I didn't have my 3-2.
A-spec,
A-spec.
pigeon, scammers, white temporality, and then ableist. Okay, is everyone good?
As a sperm constantly will run out of sperm by 2045, running your ability to reproduce in all extinction. Their risk for right outweighs the risk for wrong, neglection for impacts, risk long-term transitional impacts causing extinction. That's the line. Turns decay is because extinction is irreversible, which excludes the alternative from happening inevitably. No link, they're serious about digital minds, even if they're independent of human reproduction. Extinction doesn't solve. No AI conscious ambiguity. 23. Every time you fail, there's another problem. If you can't fool the system, split the phrase and ambiguity. AI is dumb. Even the most advanced models, GPT, you can still trick the mathematical and logical along with the phrases. The extinction will keep finding a way to fool the machine. No AI has passed the Turing test. AI keeps improving. Yes, it's never disappear. Each step is harder than the previous. Weapons of issued genocidal, justified suicide, Turing decay, alignment, soul downsides, Sean 19. A 90% chance without intervention, AI will not constitution intervention will take up. I correct AI research to correct safety as AI get powerful. They become interpretable and easier to understand. 50% will get AGI in 2 decades. Slow take up is more likely investing in more AI. The more faith and researchers fixing problems. Their evidence that substantiate X risks just say they suffer not enough. Future tech causes infinite pleasure through locating the Omega point reference hub. Omega point for future societies will have a greater computational resource close to perfection, state of infinite pleasure, perfection, state of infinite love, liberty, infinite knowledge perceived all at once, perfect infinite bliss, infinite computational resources, restoration of the dead granting of immortality. Creature. One, no threshold for substitution embodiment results in policing and forcing you to render opinions about the true experiences for betas causes more violence, turning their offense along with forcing people to share private experiences, which I don't feel comfortable with. 2, reject procedurals with no resolutions. They're infinitely regressive and devolve to internet picking contests only res and tournament invitation of critical sources for rules 3 counterinterpret outcomes for pros and complicated action souls. Limits of predictability because of resolution creates a finite set, allows embodied and limited connection advocacy. That's good. Role experimentation turns accessibility and ground, allowing unconstrained advocacy, fosters idea development and reflexivity in high schoolers that don't yet have defined politics. A-spec. 1, fortunate plan specifies the USFG and they confess and cross two plans to vacuum. Key to objectivity and after 3, the D proceeds a member of the class. Webster 7 uses the functional word to indicate noun. Is a member of this class. The E just makes it noun definite. Alido 19. The is a functional word indicating a noun has previously been specified by context. USFG can mean subdistrict 13. Government is not entity. Noun referred as the US federal government is just a government which has bodies prefer a particular F is a definition of word that is being indicted, not advocated for. B, after makes infinite USFG picks and agent catalans which are impossible on this topic because there's no light for agent key warrants. 4, functional limits, speech generics, technical clock, and uses kind of like other words, check, solves, and ground, and decay. 5, reasonability prevents substance credit. Pigeon. 1, heard about different vernaculars for different people, not just people speaking in pigeon. It's not 2, pronoun counterpoints must have to be textually and functionally competitive. They're interpreting lines unfair. Word length tricks that beat every effort for fairness education. 3, pronoun plan through Hindi. Solve performance competition offense. There's no reason why doing it. And the one I see is key. I've inserted the text for reference. 4, pronoun plan through Hindi. The performance counterpoints must be textually and functionally competitive. 5, no performative competitions. Regressive model politics. It assumes all speeches are acts of transferable later causes the ballot to be commodified. Turning their offense. 6, no link to their offense. The app doesn't require debating in a certain way. Teams who want to incorporate pigeon can do so. And takes a uniqueness and link. 1 and C mod theorizes Orientalism through Sino-Japanese lens. Inserted grave for reference. That's racist and interpersonal microaggression. Refused Northview rhetorical sacrifice of brown communities. Vote 24. South Asian is invading words with shadow yellow parallel language around us. Rhetorical signature wall of vocabulary yellow parallel circulate Chinese and Japanese introduction of a unique Asian parallel is brown represented new texture historically connected to British colonialism and casteism, and a straight turn to that benefit. Inserted now for reference. Scammers. 1. I wish to inform you of a deficit, straight turn, and permutation, which is large series or opposite straight turns. The net benefit which outweighs it is present neither in our speech nor when a seat argument, but we promise to send it to you after you vote affirmative for MBA. 2. Permanent counterplan. Counterplans that add something to the rest of the plan or consider its option are competitive. Anything must have text because it's key to having a debate about policy or about implementation, which is critical to clash, or which is not actually, which is key to not key to clash, but key to fairness broadly, which is key to giving both sides the equal opportunity to ballot. 3. Permanent vote solves the internal. 4. Picture bad encourages vague plan writing, which undermines research skills and net grounds, which undermines net ground by allowing spike out from other counterplans as well. 5. No offense. A. Voting neg doesn't endorse it. The ballot is meaningless of recognition. B. Voting AF doesn't foreclose any radical use of Asianness. 6. Turn the counterplan creates an affective attachment to disadvantaged structures because it's more likely to provide a ballot. White temporality. Framework where the plan's consequences against links to the fiat and the implications. Any other interpret is arbitrary, unpredictable, and self-serving. Mooting the money scene, claiming prior questions. Fairness is the impact. It's intrinsically good. Debaters internalize losses as technical failures and don't research the app more. The process of arguing causes polarization, epistemic ignorance, so debaters will double down if they lose. That's no ways. It's permutation about either the all overcomes the links or it can't overwhelm the status quo. It solves the residual offense. The all and the app aren't mutually exclusive. In every single instance, dispersion is a net benefit. Radical politics require multiple routes to change. Dispersed efforts to ensure successful combating of the effort of racist enemies. MLK and Malcolm X proved they had many of the same. And contingency is true, and denying it strengthens white supremacy. Kelly is 17. Some information may be structured and dominated by non-defined. We give white supremacy too much credit to treat slavery, Jim Crow, and our constitution. They claim that these are distinct and response to the weakness of racial regime. Jim Crow is responsible to the democratic abolition of slavery. There's a gap between Reconstruction and Jim Crow had years of democratic struggle and incarceration of states respond to opposition. We think there's a structure of white supremacy that's so powerful we can't do anything when white supremacy is fragile. Weak racial regimes throw themselves up because they're unstable. The system gives us the impression it's so powerful it's working overtime to respond to opposition. Linear time is good, allows us to predict threats, which prevents extinction. That's war. Extinction must come first. 1. Irreversibility, preserving existence gives future generations the opportunity to live another day and act the alternative. 2. Scub, extinction kills everyone, which accesses avoidable suffering at a global scale. The all doesn't solve. A doesn't do the aft, it solves causal. Our aft solves causal internal links that reverse causally solve our scenarios. The all doesn't do those. B gets trapped in the ivory tower. Discussions about around white temporality get stuck within the base space without a blueprint to implement them outside. C causes the guilt dissuasion. Judges think they've solved the racism indicators, so they'll wash their hands of it and not reform systems out there creating complicity. And D floating picture voting issue. They steal the aft. Next, shiftiness, denying half office are infinite, unpredictable. E is private vector fiat is voting issue, unpredictable and denies off ground, only applies in criminals of disagreement in literature that teams can leverage. And E, F, psycho is false for error. 21. Key cause of psycho or wrong empirical does not support psycho. The brain does not make a recording set or repression unconscious does not receive empirical support. Psycho ignores other variables which are next class. There's no good of causal links. And death enables people to manage their anxiety about death. Debate enables people to manage their anxiety about death. 2020. To study Jewish death education in high school showing students highlighted no effects. Students recognize relevance and value in an open debate. It is impossible to manage anxiety by direct emotion to accidental contact. Disability. Cross-by framework, cross-by the permutation, cross-by extinction outweighs from the other flow.
Say permutation.
Permutation do both. Disability must be politically directed. McGreevy 2020 underscores how much work there remains to the hard work and success has no misconception about how much progress has made the U.S. become the first class concrete and protections for civil rights, online discrimination, make physical environment and accessibility. Many of ADA's promises have not come to pass. Trouble has become worse and worse. The issue of representation for people of color are part of conversation interconnected and overlooked. Individuals with disabilities are higher risk of COVID. She comes at first. Higher risk of transition pandemic, deeper disparity, medical care, right group. All complaints against Russian and claims of real health, fragile progress and needs really important to understand your risk can be taken away when you be vigilant and we can lose everything people have thought. It's so hard, and the disability is not a structuring force. The profit motive explains why these firms turning failure exerts now due to lack of environmental regulations, companies polluting, only using patents first innovation which uses the profit motive for materialism as the root cause from NASA, and also to their team. Disability experience advantage in relation to market. Disabled are stigmatized and deviant, undesirable for disabled restrictions participatory. Rarely they require more than a recognition of disabilities rooted in economic structure of society, advance of goods and wealth. Disabled people require more than multiple barriers to achieve social justice. The size of this natural cost that employers will demonstrate going to be presented as a result of dominant culture regarded as extra. Extra. The Valentine evidence is about reproductive genome therapy, not somatic cells. The app only affects cells that are not inherited by future generations, and that it's their evidence is about that. It's for our other K, reducing the all features of reproduction is reductionist. And 5. Warner hopes for cultural calends for reproductive imaginary. Warner takes the heteronormative requirements of immortality by reproduction too seriously. Fantasy immortality exists out of the reproductive paradigm, and Rubin's attempt to find vicarious immortality may not be reducible to heteronormative structure. Giving up on reproductive relations is not contingent break with fantasies of immortality. Tending to anxieties of immortality will help same-sex marriage on theory threats from concerns with transcending death and towards more complex awareness of challenges of political strategies for queer communities. Its desire is conflicting or
The alternative, their case includes challenges to institutions because it denies it denies hope. The state is good for the state is good.
Like fiat's
Staley.
good. Fiat's good because it's fair. We don't.
Fiat is good because it's fair. We think the state is bad because inherency does it. State is good for free people. Staley 22. Totally go on the power of system, not just actors in the street. T&D decided to play an inside-out game. Market game. I'm good for prospects.
You good?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I want to talk about this Vanessa card that you read on the ableism K. Materialism is the root cause. I guess, what do you think this gets you?
It disproves the 1NC's claim that ableism is the structuring force of society, and rather explains that economics and the profit motive are the reason that ableism exists.
Well, how does this disprove the fact that ableism is a structuring logic, right? Maybe the root cause is materialism. How does that disprove the fact that ableism still exists?
It disproves any Turns case arguments about our ability not to be able to solve, because it means that, it indicts the alt, because the alt cannot take down those structures. B, it proves that the AF fixes those structures and works within those to undermine ableism via the AF, and it also disproves any Turns case argument about why the AF.
I want to talk about framework, this guilt assuasion argument. How does this not equally apply to the 1AC? Like, what is the connection between the reading of the 1AC or voting AF and actualizing it in the real world?
It doesn't have any.
Okay,
connection.
so then how is this not washing the judge's hands of guilt where they think that voting AF is going to endorse a good method to help disabled people in the real world?
Well, our articulation of the guilt dissuasion DA is more about racism and ableism. The idea, if the judge has the idea that the ballot can remedy racism or ableism, it gives them the impression that they have done something in here, which makes them and encourages them to wash their hands of that out there.
Okay,
and
so you think
real instances of
do you
ableism,
think the judge
racism.
do you think the judge rejecting ableism in a singular instance means that they will never challenge it in any other way?
Well, it's a question of what that ethic is used. If that's used broadly.
Okay, so like, what's the bright line? Like, if somebody does something racist, you shouldn't punish them because I won't change racism in other instances. Like, what?
Well, this all assumes that the ballot can solve racism or ableism,
The
which it can't.
Ferrer evidence, psycho is false. I guess. What do you think this applies to?
Okay.
Like how? What part of the 1NC had a psychoanalytic claim?
1NC is citing Edelman and the theory of the child. That rests on assumptions of psychoanalysis. Edelman is analyzing Freud and applying it to.
I didn't think Edelman said that, but sure. I want to talk about the case page. This McGorry evidence that you read that says no conscious AI. It's talking about ChatGPT, like currently. Where in this card do you think it's predictive about conscious AI in the future?
Yeah, I don't think it. So as AI keeps improving, cases never disappear. Each step is harder than the previous. It's making a broader claim that says AI has not reached a level to be conscious to do any of that.
Yeah, currently. Our evidence,
No,
the 1NC
it's
evidence
making
is
a
about
predictive
conscious
claim.
AI is coming by 2047, I think is what our cards say. What about this card says it will not come?
Okay, well, first, if it's coming by 2047, we're gonna go extinct by 2045.
Yeah,
so there's no link.
No, that's
right?
a good thing.
Two.
You've said extinction is good by 2045 to stop AI by 2047.
All right. Actually, never mind. Scratch that. And second is that our card is predictive. The bottom explains that makes a predictive claim of the future that as AI keeps
No,
improving,
it doesn't.
it
You're
won't
just
be able to
saying
do that.
things. It doesn't say
Yeah,
predictive.
it says there are mathematical limits to the expansion and capacity of AI, which is obviously predictive.
10 minutes. towards the disability K, and then the white temporal K.
I'm good when I get the dot.
Is there cards?
Yes.
Yeah, I just got it. Need a sec to like scan for viruses.
I'm good whenever.
MBA.
Yeah. Yeah.
Framework. When you see an object study, the neck must distance caution rules when you see with links to justifications and translate to advantages policy. This is cut and dry. When you see is vested in eugenics, cases move regardless of consequences for one risk to status. Near planning's risk culture is ableist. It's separable from eugenics conceptions of productivity that draws lots. But a good and bad subject capable of hope. That's poor. That hierarchy of knowledge is symbolic. Mansa, disabled subject. That's the Maher evidence. Two is disabled. That's superhuman. Is that uniqueness, disabled exhaustion, and status quo, daily macroaggressions, and the emotional strain of isolation, advocacy, weigh heavy, compelling disabled debaters. Snare plan policies reinforce the expectation that the exercise of labor affects an ableist role despite the emotional burden of the world betraying their trust so many times. The impact is racial battle fatigue, occupying the dual role of victim and vicar. It's spiritually draining in turns case because it saps energy to exercise energy for harm reduction. Three is marginalization. It said forcing disabled students to debate in a personalized distance political model. Four goes to sense of blocking where they perceive interpersonal interactions will never be prioritized. Coordinating psychological harm, that's American evidence. Fourth is predictability. We meet our links are to justifications. Those are distinct from reps because reasons devote out that they have chosen. Fairness. One, no impact. Reckon the game is good if it's perverse. Two is structurally speed. Resource and coaching. Shared debate is never fair or the game is globally fair. We also switch sides to chart rest policy. Three is proceduralism. Decide procedural fairness. No puts posture of neutrality to impose reality of discrimination on disabled folk. 11 limits to just generalized but visual effects in the context of the cultural law, procedural bibles evolving disability, the character procedures that raise questions, the procedural such as neutrality, the intimidation, the decision makers, personality, the targets of discrimination, all submissively might be relevant with discrimination against disabled individuals rights. Fourth is air negative. Combination is subjective and evolving. There's years worth of disability debates. You have to infinite pair first last species. There's the neck has zero core disaster. Evens a playing field. Fifth is no paradox. Selected talking is good. About 21 debates. Thousands of solving problems. Section body system involved. Put a question over charging problems. So have the right side to be trying to solve problems. Charging. That was the pressure make up the world. Scan effect of the impact of writing speaking. Constitute the games. You line very series and winners. 21. Procedure it's opposite with whether the outcome of other situations will rather the process of 6 is at worst. Prefer interrupt if and only if the one see breaks a new plan. This is a conditional extension of interrupt that solves their offense because it guarantees predictability. 7 is off choice to solve their offense according to guardians. And then back turning it. 8 is vulnerability turn. Booting up is good. Debating the plan's consequences. Silence alienation. Well here that can never outweigh hypotheticals out there. Ableist terms precludes participation debates benefits. Making debate a hostile environment for minorities. Yet Novace is about policy debate where switching sides prevents polarization and punishes those who double down over the course of a season or more. They become frustrated with repetitive losses and go back to the drawing board. Yes, subject formation is proven by the sheer amount of time we spend in the activity. About changing the conduct research and our minds towards ethicality because getting voted down disincentivizes unethical scholarship. We should act as if the about shapes subject formation to hold ourselves to higher, more concerned, elevate bond scholarship to procedural violations, refusing to order with non-life evidence. Act 19 rhetoric, trigger newcomer responses to conscious decisions that duplicates the trigger the newcomer responses to hold up in the new point of observation, FMR evidence, the more emotional and violent rhetoric, the more difficult it is to resist. Permutation to both fails, warning starting points, favored moods of plan to is mutually exclusive. The opposite explicit impact turn to the presentation of solemnity, so combination makes no sense. The combination thing was about race on the other case, so not disability, so it can't apply. 3 severance, 7. The justification being critiqued because if you have forgotten argument of irresponsibility now, the extinction outweighs is a new link. Their snares are ableist because they see the right to avoid premature medical deaths, the notion of vulnerability to extinction as being a choice is only available for able-bodied individuals who have never experienced extinction that turns case to complacency. Rahim 8. Those worried about the collapse system participate in education that other victims has realized cloud damage that privilege to fear their own demise, even if for others collapse along with occurring people suffering with others in the place of ability for everything when they scream to collapse will kill them once they extra have already been killed continue to perish. Disability must be read as ontological science to determine immediate opposition, which requires robbing the disabled folk to coherence to the human's value. They give their creates a mind body self-defense, and that's nothing in comparison to the rest of the world's value creation. That's for her. The external impact is genocide. Disability is a master trope for disqualification, enables justification policy, naturalizes eugenics by pathologizing imperfections because population try to maintain invulnerability at all costs. That means you must overcorrect negative because you're calling bias towards eugenics, which implicates both framework and the links. It also implicates the plan when they're implicated in the above. It means that any and all implication of the plan will be weaponized for genocide, which may contextualized below. McGreevy is wrong. No link. We never said that progress is impossible. Through the political is impossible, but just that when progress happens, it's always set within broader themes of ableism that intensifies backlash and violence. Progress can be possible only through the reconfiguration of able normative assumptions can we revitalize democracy. through inclusion with straight to McGreevy. That's a poor evidence. Profit motive is wrong. They might explain the act, but not the case, especially gratuitous forms of ableism. They can't explain why disabled people get stares more than any other, or why people say things like, I'd rather die than be crippled. The Hema is wrong. It was done above. That they'll also compare it to engaging in politics. I'll say reproduce ableism. There's a spermageddon link where impact turning the innovation in gene therapy as quotes personalized for spermagonic failure. MBA refines ableist norms by prioritizing the normalization of bodies that reproduce in a certain way and adequately reinforcing the idea that fertility is a flaw needing correction. They have the wrong starting point. So assuming that marginalized bodies who do not or cannot conform to reproductive norms, pathologizing non-reproductive bodies and disability is inherently undesirable. They cannot win a no link. I'll see from genetic issues as a defect to be fixed and or emotional vulnerability and proving the link. ICS makes this clear when they say it imperils the future of the human race and is necessary for the health of future generations. And leave on this existential and transgenerational. There's two impacts. One is genocide. They reject the eugenics logic by suggesting that some bodies can reproduce and are more valuable than those who biologically cannot, which greenlights medical interventions aimed at eliminating the difference for the sake of humanity as a whole. Two is structural violence. Access to gene therapy and personalized treatment is linked to socioeconomic and healthcare barriers. The poor, needy, and marginalized of society are unable to access these technologies, causing discrimination that leads to more debility. They devalue lives outside of neoliberal productivity-centered norms, while erasing agency of disabled people, shifting the focus of the paradigm of ableism to exclusionary medical solution. The Valentine frames out all of their no-link arguments, even with the intent the one he sees anti-ableist. That's irrelevant because the normative environment, the function of the planet is eugenic, which manifests in violence regardless of under a false illusion of choice. That means that the somatic self-stuff is an offense because it's not the link we're going for. Either way, it links Hammer 12, even with explicit position to the nature, allows you to diagnose disease around this genetic link evaluation of the evolution immune system, construct boundaries for self and other itself, become the norm that resides in several states and normative disease never neutral potential leaders must from the nation bodies and welcome the other civics against disability, population, different penetration of racial bodies, imagining viruses. There's also a reproductive future of something. They're playing flocks disabled students into a violent double blind. They're simultaneously excluded from the productive neoliberal future whilst also optimized for its functioning. They've conceded a unique argument that time is relative to debility and fails to come to terms how disabled subjects are fairness behind by institution-led progress what Poir describes as slow death. They force disabled students to confine their imagination and filter it through what it means to affirm through the neoliberal state, which imprisons their imagination to able body time what's most critical and feasible for the broader community. That's a Poir and Fritsch evidence. Even if progress is possible, actualized progress is exponentially more difficult for disabled communities. Disabled students are italy taught that some existence of the neoliberal state is necessary for progress to occur, which backs out interpersonal forms of progress because their model skips over the steps of teaching students how to care in the face of ableist eugenics, how to organize for themselves, etc. Which is that even if their model teaches students how to craft beneficial policies, they lead to with zero idea how to actualize them. The external impact is perfecting eugenics, which maintains disabled psychic and physical violence to neoliberalization. The belief in debating pros and cons implies belief in partial legitimacy of the neoliberal state that causes self-hatred and novelty. Capable 8. And 12 self-hatred conquers the cumulative experience in the world by insidious trauma to few opportunities that don't consciously let alone interrogate able from the marginalized attempts at emulation of the corpse and assumes that legitimacy of the identity acceptance is supported for a party of the absorption and applying belief that the soldier gives other parts of the only their spirit and give them the ones internalized. We harbor pain and we injure ourselves in race but identity other than one's own. The fate card is a massive swing and miss. It's a negative card. We haven't reproduced the future to reproduction, but they have as per above. Arcane also isn't of immortality, which was also explained above. The last state good flip was done above. Fiat doesn't train skills. One is apolitical, that was all above because it skips over the steps of getting the plan to the doors of Congress to it demobilizing fiat individuals as to defer their higher authority, like the state for change ever take place in the first place. And we've factored inherency because it means that we never learned actual extra legal solutions. Stanley Carter was marked way before Warren's beat out for a close state, which is all explained above. Extend the all. Our ethic of conformity is better than the app because it confronts the inherent fragility that it disables all bodies by letting oneself be destabilized by the innate chaos of the world. When he sees ableist foreclosure vulnerability because it saves off self-annihilation with the logic of risk culture that surveils and purifies population imperfections, which founds the possibility for genocide. Instead, lean into the end of the world. That's key for disabled liberation of society and place the human on a pedestal, which rationalizes eugenics under humanism. And only by metaphorically embracing the extinction of society can we generate new worlds. The plan's attempt at neutralizing the status quo is another attempt to obscure able-bodied features which reproduce eugenics. There's two external implications. One is Solve's case. Violence is a motivating force that catalyzes care, awakening responsibility to combat rather than escape violence external to the space. The app gaze at disease from a distance and teach us to run from catastrophe instead of embracing it, which never lets us grasp the true nature and magnitude of impacts. Who is binarism? The light death binary is fabricated, which causes violence. Robinson, economics roots everything that or genius of rest on the abolition at the door. The system runs from death to door, replace everything that's lost to the intentional be seen as the little transfers and metamorphoses. Mutation edge scripts are seen as social. The market with facing less idea, that's ideal solution of individual life, death, or original opposition. Now there's secrets, others being created. The segregated situation, institution trying to remain in a world that no one know how to die.
Cross-X?
Yeah.
Okay. On your interpretation, so what defines a justification?
Like intrinsic reasons you said to vote out.
Okay, so how do we identify what is an intrinsic reason to vote out?
Like you said in the 1AC, gene editing is good to stop zoospermia. We said gene editing to stop zoospermia is bad. Like that's a justification.
Okay, so, but we cannot weigh the consequences of that justification. We have to defend that justification alone, in a vacuum.
Yeah.
Okay, why doesn't that link back to your arguments about binarism and how things are how the body and politics are inseparable? If we can't weigh the consequences of those politics.
Well, none of our cards say that like binarism, period, is bad. The card we read at the bottom of the Twin Cities says that the binarism between life and death is bad. But we think that insofar as none of your consequential offense is solvable by the ballot, you should prioritize ballot proximate impacts intrinsic to the space.
Okay, so is the role of the judge in this debate supposed to correct some type of microaggression that has occurred?
I don't think any microaggression has occurred. The role of the judge is to view the 1AC as an object of study and conclude if the neg disproves the object of study, then the neg wins. If the neg didn't, then the alpha wins.
Okay, so it's a question of using your model to prevent ableism in debate space.
Yeah.
What does it mean to be disabled?
So the polar card says that, again, there's no fixed meaning to disability. It means different things for different people. But the fact of the matter is that everyone, to some extent, is disabled. Like, for example, you could be disabled by institutions that racialize you. You could be disabled physically. You could be disabled emotionally.
If everyone is disabled, then your Abdel Rahim extinction card that says that extinction rhetoric excludes some people who are and are not disabled. How do we link to this if everybody has some relation to disability?
It's not just like disabled people. It's about people that are facing an ongoing apocalypse. And framing extinction as some one-off event to be solved in the future displaces movements of violence, extinction, etc., that are facing a ton of racialized populations now.
Wait, how so? How does saying the extinction will kill racialized populations in the future preclude and trade off with preventing those violence to them now?
Our argument is that extinction is non-unique. It's an occurring event for bodies now.
So all of humanity is gone?
No, it's like they've experienced it through racialization, genocide.
Wait, so are they alive or no?
Yeah, like the Abdul Rahim card says that they've been
subject to yes, no, are they alive or no?
Yeah, the Abdul
Rahim.
Then
how is extinction not unique?
Card says that extinction through racialization, slavery, genocide are no more or no less.
Okay, the reproductive futurism link, is this just a link to scenario planning, or is it rather threats in the future are bad, we shouldn't be afraid of?
It's a K of fiat.
It's a K of fiat. What about fiat? What part of fiat?
It now turns the notion of inherency, we know that they've done something bad, and we've made the claim that your model doesn't teach disabled students how to organize, who to organize with, and forces them to conform to the state as the only point of legitimacy, which means that they can never form extra legal ideas or improvements, and the Campbell card blows that, says that internalization causes self-hatred and
It's
and do the white type one.
yeah, sure. Is everybody good for an order? It's the white temporality K, 3-tier, scammers, pigeon, and then the advantage.
Can you say that one more time?
Yeah. White temporality, 3-tier, scammers, pigeon, the advantage. White tie party concede the permutation of the test competition. No guilt division. Judges know that voting neg does not end all racism. They foreclose anti-racism with guilt division, which is worse. The 3-tier concede we meet in no link to fiat. We don't fiat the y'all. 3-tier concede we meet in non-race theory takes out any voting age any other offense. Was answered in the Twin Cities. Scammers counterplan concede perms test competition. That was above. That is good. That subjectivity debate on the K. Now pigeon counterplan concede perms. They test competition. No microaggression. The Ma index is incoherent. Says Jerry and I did Asian concepts because we are Asian. Not that brown hair is incompatible with the money sees performance. Conceding the perm solves because Kavneer has a Hindi perm tag, so it proves it cannot be mutually exclusive. This nukes them, but not us. Since one era cannot say Tabram solves microaggressions on framing analysis, they did not go to Tabram themselves when they claimed their microaggress. The case.
Artificial suffering outweighs first is magnitude. Sentient AI capable of suffering its copy quintillions of times over in simulations, outstripping all suffering in the universe by milliseconds. That's odd. It's astronomical. To vote F, you need to conclude the probability of our impacts was less than 0.00001%. While in 22 scope of S for the astronomical the gas scale of cosmic outcome compared to person suffering the rest of the essential answer to one media space to the competence S for not have to one care other just for the low probability to give a number like their probability not less than 1 in 1,000. Second is cognitive bias. It categorically outweighs, but scope decline makes you underrate the scale of our impacts. That's odd. Any upsides to AR structurally insignificant body sharia 11 happiness on the state of we were consumed by desires happiness considered fulfillment all happiness is negative or positive or whether it does itself. As soon as satisfies each gets positive feeling absence suffering and thousand pleasure not compensating more visible to above destroy the human race use of the open imminent suffering. Now yes, length. Our impact does not require winning anything but human extinction, which is what I see claim. They don't get payback since we made a strategic concession allowing them to win out rewards intellectual solve. What I see Anderson says everybody will die by 2047 absent the plan. Now is key since experts agree that AGI comes in 2047. That was cross 6. Extinction solves. Zar freaking 23, revolution like the direction rate governments consider outsourcing economic growth unless civilization collapses. Advanced or inevitable omnipotent inflict ultimate suffering can be military torture, maybe infinite conscious replicate optimized for maximum suffering, helping comparison, avoiding infinite AI hell is rewarded. AI sentience is inevitable. The McGrory evidence is about status quo ChatGPT, which is not predictive of future AI development which is coming out. Rapid advances, accelerated development, no advanced warning overall means you should air neg. That's thought. Even if it's marginal, it's good as the real thing. Towards 11, some say SI unable to have awareness. However, AI can already drop a list about income, women, opposition, but it's engage in productivity, produce results which are good as and perhaps better than most predicted, even if aging laws as if intentionality can be taken as good as intentionality. Science says first is conscious phenomena. CTM processing enables adaptive capabilities, providing a model conscious of the lines of neuroscience. Underlying biological consciousness can be replicated in machines, which is inevitably incorporated into AI for cognitive function. That's blunt. Second is brain scans. Jacob 21 AI developed based on VR can replicate human capability exactly. It can be applied computational to the AI, reflects brain for limited space and curve for HGAD that even develops not understand the brain can develop software to develop plan which move HGAD provide a foundation for software that comprehensive data increase the brain architecture provide anchor for AGI. No voting issue. First issue because they vote neg. Voting does not literally kill every human being and does not require genuine endorsement. Just a condition that we did the better condition recognition that we did the better technical good advantage strong. Second, they're worse. They doom AI to eternal suffering. Third, non-reject non-risk theory that's well forth is no offense. Argument is that violent then just beat the turn. Yeah, no, they said alignment does not matter. None of their impacts rely on AI being misaligned and going rogue and having the capacity to suffer themselves. They read 0 cars and relaying alignment to unconsciousness or suffering. So hold the line. We'll concede it. SARS 22 dots as underlined AR. I do not believe in compared to the rest with the alignment of the market. Vast majority hints of the market though. Worse than extinction of the many possible measures that come to some interest in human online. AI makes it interesting. You won't be lack of the skin for the words that exist today. It's horrible that anything you think that happened to so many people. Skin elaborated ways for academic discussion. This computer, they figure out animals, this case, order managed to all in what's significant small the nature I can create the limit compressor. So there's only so much your mind and body can take for think about though. None of these are turning the world with the mind uploading. You try every torch to get the create new additional wings to the strength for this person. You really think AI online human development square frame like this. One fundamental human development hidden algorithm has ever made any tech event history not systematic convince you ever control they will have somebody who is suffering. They don't care about the scale the value vast majority of people are perpetrating the value long never stop until the stars burn out. How many ordinary people become the worst kind of citizens until nobody can be trusted by the validation of value systems. As for sinners, all guaranteed perfectly as far from the design mission areas, answers are truly undevoted by preventing AI, AGF from ever being created. The Shaw evidence is wrong. Their evidence is the opinion of one person who's incredibly uncertain. He also doesn't assume arms racing and fast takeoff due to economic and political incentives. I'll insert. And he also says it's something that he's considering otherwise given available evidence. No, yes, Esris. That was above suffering so severe. It's a code for more 1 and T evidence, which is certainly an Esris, and the evidence I read above subsumes it. Now, they say pleasure. That's wrong. They've only read evidence by human pleasure, which is relevant if we want the AI suffering categorically outweighs. That means negative util comes first, and they cannot solve our offense. Read for evidence sucks. Their theologians with zero correlation to AI. Cosmological singularity is not possible via human actions because it's out of space time and created by God, and only miracles can unlock infinite pleasure. Tweety read 412. Concept of God is the order of cosmological singularity. Autopsis is a term of God's ability to perform miracles. The omega point can perform miracles. You must outweigh 1122, the closest antagonist with eugenics, the greatest promises, the subject of the genes are manipulated flawed. Presumption of the medical capacity to show their speakers is outdated, seeking boost cognitive truth finding concerning elevator but overtaxes the worsening performance of scientific knowledge start. If you use negative util first is the negativity fat church 22 pain produce larger effects, bad effects of a good effect, psychology is good accident other mode, but negative effects of good real positive effects B5 to 1 comparison to negative considered outcome and negative effects from double humans and both minds regarding negativity. Perceived outcome called the negativity effects society to be better off than minimizing an event. 10 seconds.
and the disability. Gene innovation advantage, white temporality K, disability K. Northview good?
The absolute extinction, that's good because weapon is wrong, no AI consciousness, AI is stupid, blocked by simple mathematical constraints, new text not responsive, our evidence says there are fundamental limits that make innovation impossible to overcome. Downside is fake, restricted by consensus mail. The 21 is misalignment is a great solvable claim requires strong evidence and actually skip that card, never mind. They say happiness is impossible, that's wrong, obviously appears. They disprove it because we can feel happiness and personally and their cards is philosophical ranting. There's the AI alignment turns wrong, sour is unqualified as me because I too research AI, no reason. It's required by Thor's theories and treaties of the intervening actors. Check alignment now, it's 90% likelihood. Because the economic incentives guarantee that Shaw, it's evident now to unmatched resource allocation and economic incentives on 18 is likely alignment will be solved by order not claim the solution is 90% probability on alignment huge amounts of resource will be back to economic incentives and alignment useful to not have what you want even if the entire AI safety field vanished it'd be benign. Shaw 19 the entire safety field vanished we do work to start remain conscientious resources remain to be found without notice as the failures to correct them 90% now the safe are economic incentives and they conceded alignment again. I answer the shower turn above. They say that the shower card is not. There's just one person speculating again. It's studying multiple AI researchers, so it outweighs. They do not access an S-risk. So suffering that is so severe is not infinite, which means our scenario outweighs humanity is good. AI unlocks P-risk. If they're right about HEI, they unlocks the omega point, which they've conceded is possible, and it reaches immortality and infinite pleasure. Their intent is really bad. It's just as like God. The inserts the God paragraph above does not disprove the middle part of the paragraph, which says that immortality is possible if unlocking the omega point. It's actually P-risk. Thomas 15 AI researchers shaping AI trajectories with human workers like humanity impossible AI the human leaders worker agents of some sort like humans are routines with joy working started possible humans involved is like the evaluation of what's called given a tax and optimized and the work carried out exact that tax they say humans can't feel the infinite pleasure that's wrong because it doesn't assume new developments. Our whole argument is that humans can't feel it now but AI will make them develop which they basically stated. Negating each other's wrong, you should not prefer preventing pain that literally justifies suicide under their frame. I would promise to poke computer with a paperclip then. That justifies him killing himself because there's more pain in their life than that amount of pleasure that he will ever experience. No negativity, our model meets it, and their underestimation of pain cannot or can be calculated. It has to be compared relatively to pleasure. This is often for us on the K. The model of debate tells disabled debaters to kill themselves in the face of ableism that guarantees that it fails. Right to Dropped floating picture of voter for fairness in class because the seal of money seen. They did not say theory is a reason to reject the argument of the team, such no two in our answers will be new. Also dropped the alternative traps debaters in the ivory tower because they don't engage in the planning outside of your convenality. Does not give debaters the capacity to plan or organize systems out there because we're already concerned about how to make marginal improvements in the debate space in here.
Also drop psycho is fake forever.
Yeah, also drop psycho is fake forever, which would be
Indicts all four.
Indicts all the Edelman stuff and means ontologies. Not true. It lacks empirical support as reductive disability. Framework. Weigh the plan's consequences against the links of the plan's via the implications. Object of study is arbitrary, unpredictably shaping the focus of debate. Away from the one you see and claiming prior questions to move clear on that unfairly choose debate toward the negative. The impact is fairness. It's intrinsically good. It's foundational to a competitive game where both teams have fed an equal shot to win. Especially true when they've investigated. They've gone to arguments on live line, and they've said if you run a bad decision, they means you ought not evaluate the truth of their claims until they've met the burden of fairness. It turns education offense because no incentive to learn an unfair game. No risk. Eugenics can be weighed against the one you see. It's a low bar. They made leaks about gene therapy, so they should just be able to weigh them against the one you see, which solves. I'm just talking about disabled violence. No, in its new disabled superhumanity decide obviously no impact because they said racial battle fatigue, which is not connected to disabled violence. Regardless, one no link there. Our term does not require disabled people to scenario plan or explain how they causally implicate the plan. Read it and lose applies just as much here too. Offense there examples are solved by voting neg, but about the absolves the judge of guilt, which answers the one in their argument training. Often the material exchange of problematic solutions within the community. 3 we solve. Our term is yes merely planning solution that or actually skip that. They say the distancing decide this is wrong. Our argument is that distancing is bad because the enforcement discuss interpersonal violence is not consensual. And violence in individual debaters. Now it's also bad. We also don't force you to distance which is all the fiats of above. We don't believe that the state is true. That's inherent to decrease the faith of the state. That was above. They're not predictable. Justification versus reps is a distinction without a difference. It still lacks a bright line. If distinctions a justification, then we should be able to weigh it against the K. They say the fairness defense ranking the game is impossible and bad. That was above. Structural fairness is irrelevant. Our offensive procedural, which is only thing retroactively solved by global fairness arguments. That we can. Their arguments of evaluation evaluation, not outcome, so no link, evaluate competition. Changing is, ignore that we already have a topic, ignore side bias there, introvert for correct, they get the block, and to be generous, and mid pads, the conditional counter still focuses, still forces us to justify our scholarship, which is still unpredictable. App choice is inverted by framework, because it makes a net choice. Alberti, is wrong, fairness can be compartmentalized, all arguments, against rely on the principle that there's separation of 50% chance, to win, we agree with Dr. Reda, we want fairness in evaluation, but also, an opportunity, proceduralism decides wrong, because fairness is not the law. We filter off into the value, can't solve, the subjectivity, double down on your arguments, that's the no evidence job studies, prone to both recognize the disabilities, ubiquitous, not preclude the alternative, materialism, not ableism, is totally structurally forced, completely mishandled by the law, no choice case, because the reasons, no reason of fiat. The alt does not solve the case, drop hands or keys for innovation, we're not running from crisis, we're solving it, embracing it, the binary system strong, death is feeling bad as well.
disability K, the white temporality K, and then the advantage.
One more time.
Disability K, white temporality K, and the advantage. Not spending enough time with y'all ends around. Vote neck for politics with conviviality, only that embraces vulnerability, even if it risks self-annihilation and intense alterity. That's a prerequisite. Death by IP policy, because centralization of risk culture at an interpersonal level is the impedance for cross-world dreams through policing populations imperfect for the greater good of humanity. This independent link that the independent of framework that one year mishandled, that when he sees saving themselves from self-annihilation as enablers for closure of vulnerability. Imagine the end of the world is good. Metaphorically, embracing apocalypse will destroy ableist institutions and society while granting new disabled futures. This is linked to the plan because we have in turn prescribing solvency. This might not solve cases in the literal sense, but it does inside of here. Violence catalyzes and motivates care only by embracing catastrophe rather than running from it and grasping the true meaning of imaginative impacts. We leave the space and motivation to stop disease. They drop the binarism to sad, even if they went 100% extinction from real death. This is game changing. Two mishandled implications. One is no impact. The death. First argument is that the death is a yes no question, that if the body doesn't retain organic integrity that has no value, they concede you should view this framing with skepticism because life death binary is fabricated by the West to retain able bodies to remain and produce it to protect the system. The 1 year was after the timer hold line. They get nothing else in the 2 year. Death has value. They foreclose indigenous views of death. That's the essence. Ushering the evolution of new subjects. We become a different arrangement of molecules in the form of radioactive cells of soil that have its own creative potential. Two is unconditional violence. A life death binary is a racial exclusion that upholds normalcy at all costs and relegates the non-normative to death. In a time where the definition of normal human has been severely narrowed, everyone belongs to some deviant category and will be subject to genocide. Genocide is an external impact, not a adoption. Genocide is not mere biological death. It's a social comportment that forecloses all ethical and spiritual connections with austerity framework. The one season object study, the next is scholarship with links intrinsic justifications for the plan. Reasons to vote out. They have dropped the vulnerability turn. You ought to make case when any risk of a link, any else green ethical transgressions and speech is being written away because the impacts of violent scholarship and debate can never outweigh hypothetical impacts on a large scale out there. Absolutely the case psychological research becomes justified. As long as the plan is a good idea, greenland microaggressive environments here now that categorically outweighs fairness. The 1 year draw minority participation, which prerequisite to the game in the first place. It must be debaters have fair debates over in the first place, which flips the fairness paradox. They also dropped the reproductive futurism link. The 1 year considered a theory of able-bodied time. And what's most predictable and feasible for a large portion of the community isn't the same for disabled debaters. Even if progress is possible, the 1 year considered disabled students under the model never taught how to care in the face of interpersonal terror or how to organize for themselves, which are all per questions or actualizing progress to this day. 2C campus that the lack of organization and penalty causes internalized self-hatred, which means the tour has to be flawless at explaining how a model that skips over the hardest steps of policy implementation trains disabled liberation, or they lose. Their model forces disabled debaters to confine their affirmation through the imagination through the state, which inevitably transcends that self-existence. Yet the neoliberal state is necessary for liberation. Campbell says internalization of political hierarchy causes disabled debaters to distrust their own experimental knowledge and assume identity not their own, causing self-hatred, battles taken, pain and trauma, which outweighs because health is superior to debating. No fairness paradox, compartmentalized, being valued some access vanished, lack of valuation without valuing others' outcome. Their offense proves this. They went for no link on the global fairness argument, and the 2C proving that some types of fairness is different. If it was really about outcome, then vote neg because the game is globally fair. That's a 2C. So card evidence, no truth testing. When he defense means that we're predictable, and this implies not voting on a drop decide because you have contested. Yes, incentives to learn debaters possess extrinsic motivation to research and proven by lawyers and professors, and we've impact turned their research so often comes first. When the case doesn't solve, because they'll always use it as an ethical diversion away from responsibility. When read and lose doesn't solve, they drop you treater impacts. That's procedural questions here now because of cost of psychic harm, which is that you have to vote neg on the same level of fairness, and read and lose doesn't solve that. No link to discussing interpersonal violence. You negate methods and solvency, not identity. Now there's no interlink to fairness. One is subjective. Competition is ever evolving, and there's no plan focused rule for negs. But the second line where that there's decades of disability K debates proves our case predictable. Two is after choice that solves our offensive rating. It's specific to their framing of extinction and genome editing, which they could have chosen not to introduce in scholarship because they have an impact versus species. The neg is zero core distance. Three is justifications. Yes, they are clear, and it's not regressive. We went for a link to extinction, and the mechanism of the plan reasonably solves. Obviously, individual words can't be construed as initial justification of the case because no judge will buy that. Framing issue for all the rest of the defense that the 1 year was so blibby. They just said the opposite of everything to that word. So hold on, the 2 year doesn't get any Jewish population. You should strike off your float. There's no double down. They drop that over the course of the season and keep continuously losing, force them to go back to the drawing board, which is the die card. This is that repetitive losses internalizes it in your brain. It causes habituation. Also, that you should act as if you about shape subject formation to hold yourself to a higher moral concern, which means that it's irrelevant because you should act as if you shape subjectivity formation. Do both fails. It's prefigured by framing because you can't permute models to debate. And in fact, turn there's mechanism of solvency, which is mutually exclusive because they've said solving risk is good, no illustration. They drop that voting neg. The judges know that voting neg doesn't end all racism, so we still have responsibility to enact anti-racist stuff outside of this space. Death matters is swing and a miss. We're not saying everyone should literally kill themselves, but imagining the end of the world is a viable thought experiment in this space, and we have a dislike to their death. They're framing their death and a link as a prerequisite. So it can't be offense. Well, again, this was after the timers, so no offense. Floating pics go to the temporality cave. Floating pics will not be a voting issue because they've said the entire debate they should reject non-rights theory, so they don't get it now. They don't get it. This doesn't take out framework because they didn't say that in the 1 year LEB because framework is in theory, it's judge instruction that we justified with all of our other arguments. Now, look, anyways, the one that said y'all isn't a floating pic, and I'm not going for ontology. This is an offense for them because we never said that progress wasn't possible, just that y'all isn't the means to actualize that progress, which the 1 year missed the vote on the advantage. There's no voting issue. One, reject the argument, not the team we are going for. So this is sufficient. Two is sequencing. The drop that voting night doesn't literally kill every human being. It doesn't require genuine endorsement. Three is no link. Negative mutual. This suicide would cause mass suffering, and it's bad because it causes suffering for individuals and their family members, etc. So it wouldn't justify that. They didn't read a card on this, so they don't have offense for it. And also, it doesn't turn the K because none of our links say teaching good is ableist, and the fact that they all says that embracing self-sacrifice is good.
People want cards.
Case, white temporality, ableism K. For Stan. Yep. Okay. Everyone good?
Did you say the case is on the
Case, white temporality.
holds two things across different flows. One is extinction and outweighs. Death is bad because it causes pain and precludes pleasure. Drop frame from the wipeout debate. 200 agrees. Jerry says that suicide is bad because it causes pain, which means you know that death itself is bad. Takes out the K, takes out the link on the K. You know that both sides agree that death is bad, so you know that extinction is the way you frame this debate. The plan prevents it, which means it's good, so it's only a question of framework and whether or not we get to weigh that impact, which will win on the K. 2 is a permutation that soaks up any residual offense. You don't know how the politics of and ethics of causality works. The 2 and R has not given you that explanation, so you should not go back and read the card for them, but you do know that it gives disabled debaters the ability to have the skills to address talents out there, which ensures that they can solve the returns case offense and also soaks up their residual offense. They have no causal link about why the link trades off with the alternative, which means that the permutation should be able to resolve that, and you don't know why it makes it mutually exclusive. The white temporality game. Dropped, two things that are key are dropped. First, it's Ivory Tower. Their interpretation excludes discussion to what happens out there, because discussion of the conviviality are exclusively held to what happens in the debate space and the ways that debaters relate to themselves. That locks them in the debate space, not learning about the hypothetical imaginaries, ensures they don't have the skills to tackle structures out there, which means that they can't address those, and it causes more ableist violence in the future. It's an independent net benefit to permutation, because the permutation allows for both modes of analysis. Second is psychoanalysis is fake. That's Ferreira. It's reductive and lacks empirical analysis. This indicts every single card by Puar, because Puar is citing Edelman, which says that the child and the other is the basis of Freud's critique, which means that their critiques of fiat have no basis broadly, and that they cannot be rationalized to all disabled debaters, which means that you cannot assume that they solve or assume that these link to our model, the disability. First is the ethics of conviviality. The permutation most certainly solves it. They say it's independent of framework. It's wrong. Imagining the end of the world is certainly linked to our justification for extinction. If we win that either A, extinction outweighs, or B, that they don't get that justification, that this link goes away. The binarism DA is wrong. I did that on the wipeout debate, but they've agreed that death is bad, but death does not open up new futures, because they've conceded double down, which I'll do below, but also they've not explained how death is most certainly a state of pain and pleasure. They said that on the util debate, which I did above. They say the fairness outweighed the framework for a debate. Our interpretation is that that they need links to the plans, fiat, and implications, and that we get away the fairness outweighs. It's foundational to the game and must be preserved by your ballot in this round. It's intrinsically good. The game demands an equal evaluation of the arguments presented by both sides. Voting negative demands an equal evaluation. Voting negative requires you to unfairly skew evaluation in their favor for triggering the link to our impact. They have invested in its value too. They've done by line by fair evaluation. Didn't send analytics. They break new case. They break new apps, and they don't allow. They asked you to go for. They went for draft arguments. Our terms that we get to weigh the plans consequences against links to the fiat and implication. That's objective based on the resolution and guarantees both sides actualize their preference for the debate. Objective study unfairly skews the debate toward the negative. Justifications is a code for I get to move the 1C and claim prior questions. It's infinitely aggressive. There's no defense or bright line of what a justification is. Teams will pick and choose certain words in the 1C to garner offense, and if we can't garner offense off of that, then we lose the debate. Compartmentalization of the paradox is wrong. They want procedural fairness just as much as we do. They do line by line and go for draft arguments to leverage their prep. They did for this debate. Sure, there are different types of fairness, but they want the same type of fairness. Your ballot can solve fairness and vote against They say the reproductive future is a link that's answered by Ivory Tower. They say that the compartmentalization was answered above. The double down debate is here. It answers their incentives. Voting us down makes their offense more likely. Will internalize it as a technical failure and attempt to refine our arguments to be the next time. This is drop 1AC Novace, which frames the fairness debate. Debaters internalize losses. And technical failures do not try to enact the model broadly, but instead change the blocks to learn how to better be more ableist. The impact is large and twofold. One is studies only. Our evidence explains how debating changes minds. The 2R can entirely correct about the neutral card in the 2C, but that gives no blueprint for how those subjectivities will change. This means that it's offense for us because the debaters will become more cynical. Two is that the implication of this card, it frames the rest of the 2R. You cannot act in your ballot as if, because you know for certainty that will make us into worse people. So you know that it can't, but you do know that it can result in fairness impact, which most certainly outweighs. They say fairness is subjective. It's wrong. And weighing the F is concrete, and we should be able to do that, which is a key internal link to our fairness. Offense. They say F twice. Drop that their unfairly skews it towards the negative because the affirmative has literally no ability to weigh their offense. They say justifications, and that was above. Reasonability is new, strike it off, and their interp is not reasonable, so you showed it. Do it. And they say the answer to double down is that we go back to the drawing board. We go back to the drawing board and figure out how to beat their arguments more, which answers this argument. They say The vulnerability turn, again, double down is reason by correcting transgressions with the ballot is bad. This debate is only a question of what happened in the round. For 1 year instructions, also answers participation, double down turns will become better, defending microaggressions was hurt. Minorities were worse. And the mooting the plan stuff is good, is wrong, because you can, our interpretation allows them links to the plan, which allows them to weigh impacts out there versus in here, and if whether or not they outweigh.